So I've got our guess a number game open in our editor, and let's go ahead and make it so that we have our random number generation put into a function. It makes sense to take this part out and make a function out of it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a very simple function that's going to return a random number, and we're going to call this function getRandomNumber. So let's go ahead and declare this function. Now we want to declare the function before we actually try to execute this code. Unlike some other programming languages, we need to make the declarations of the function before we use them, because remember, Lua is interpreted, so it's going to be processing that function definition, and we'll get to this a little bit more later, but really a function is just like any other variable, and so you can really think of when you're declaring a function as assigning a variable. But like I said, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. For now, let's just go ahead and create a function that we're going to call getRandomNumber. And it's going to take in a max value as a parameter. We'll just call this max value. Now remember, in Lua, we don't need to specify a type for this parameter because we don't have to specify types for variables. So then we're going to put an end here, and then inside here we're actually going to put the body of our function. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this code here, this random generation code, and we're just going to put this into the function, and then we will put our number back. Let's go ahead and move this. So we're going to say local number is going to be equal to get random number, and we're going to call this with 100. And then let's go ahead and fix this. What we're going to do is do a return math.random, and then instead of 100 is going to be whatever that max value is. So now we've actually made things a little bit more flexible as well, because we can pass in a value here, and that's what it's going to use for that max value. And this is a little bit more readable as well. Now we can say guess a number. We're getting our random number. In fact, it probably makes sense to go ahead and get our random number first. Then we'll say guess the number, and then we'll go ahead and execute this code. So now we could test this out to make sure it still works. And you can see we have our guess a number, 50, too low, guess again, and I'm not going to go through that whole process. Let me just go ahead and kill this program and then stop debugging. But that's a basic and very simple function in Lua.